Welcome to Best Practices and Experiences for Transnational Learning, Integration and Language Learning. This is not just a podcast. It is an exploration of innovative ways to empower migrant children and their families. The AMIF Fund supports the initiative as part of the SCHOOLinHUB project aimed at creating a more welcoming society, proud to protect children's rights, and a more inclusive school as a cultural hub able to lead preschool children with a migrant background in learning a new language. Join us on this exciting journey to discover good practices that create connections between different countries.
Hello and welcome to today's podcast where we explore important social topics that impact our communities. I'm Sheila Rono, and in today's episode we'll dive deep into subject of migration, integration in Sweden, and how do migrants adapt to a new society, what challenges do they face, and what programs are in place to help them settle and thrive. So to discuss this, I'm joined by Melissa, an expert in migration policies. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Throughout this episode, we'll explore key aspects of migrant integration, social adoption, employment opportunities, cultural inclusion, and the role of government policies. We will also address mental health challenges, entrepreneurship, economic integration, and more. Let's begin. So let's start off by understanding what migrant integration truly means in Swedish context. Maybe you could start, Melissa.
Yes, so migrant integration in Sweden refers to the process by which newcomers become part of the Swedish society, both socially and economically. This includes learning the language, finding employment, engaging in the community, as well as understanding Swedish cultural norms. Integration is about participation in all aspects of life, education, work, healthcare, and political engagement. So the Swedish model promotes inclusivity, but the effectiveness of integration varies based on the support available for migrants. For some, the transition is smooth, while for others, they struggle due to language barriers or limited job opportunities. Sweden's integration policy includes free language courses, financial support for newly arrived refugees, and mentorship programs. So social integration also involves fostering a sense of belonging, which can be challenging for migrants unfamiliar with Swedish customs, and also community support and friendships can play a crucial role in making integration successful. So many NGOs and local organizations help bridge the gap between migrants and native Swedes. Ultimately, successful integration benefits both migrants and the host country by creating a more cohesive and productive society. However, as we all know, integration is not just about policy, it's about personal efforts, mutual respect, and as well as open-mindedness for both migrants and the host population.
Thank you. Now that we have a foundational understanding of integration, let's discuss some of the challenges that migrants face in Sweden. What are the main challenges migrants face when integrating into Sweden?
So migrants in Sweden encounter several challenges, including language barriers, difficulty finding employment, and cultural differences. Learning Swedish is crucial for effective communication and access to job opportunities, but it can also take years to become proficient. Additionally, many employees require Swedish work experience, which creates a barrier for newcomers. Housing shortages in major cities also pose a challenge, with migrants often finding further complicate the process, as some Swedes may hold misconceptions about migrants. Accessing healthcare as well and navigating Sweden's bureaucratic systems can also be overwhelming, especially for those unfamiliar with the language or legal processes. Education is another major hurdle, as foreign degrees are not always recognized, forcing skilled professionals to start all over. Psychological stress is common, particularly for refugees who have fled conflict zones and must adjust to an entirely new way of life. Also, family reunification policies can be strict, causing distress for those separated from loved ones, and overcoming these barriers therefore requires strong governmental support, inclusive policies, and initiatives that connect migrants with Swedish societies. So despite these challenges, many migrants successfully integrate, contributing significantly to Sweden's economy and culture.
Addressing these challenges requires strategic interventions, right? So let's explore how the Swedish government is supporting migrant integration. How does the Swedish government support migrant integration, Melissa?
So, the Swedish government has several programs in place to support migrant integration, including free language courses. For example, the Swedish for Migrants SFI, as well as financial assistance for asylum seekers and employment training initiatives. The Public Employment Service offers job matching programs and internships to help migrants enter the labor market. Other than that, municipalities provide integration plans that include housing assistance, education, as well as healthcare support. The government also funds mentorship and networking programs which help newcomers build connections within the Swedish society. Recognizing the importance of language, authorities invest heavily in educational resources to ensure migrants can participate fully in their communities. Social inclusion efforts such as cultural exchange programs can also play a role in reducing barriers between migrants and native Swedes. Anti-discrimination laws protect migrants from workplace bias and ensure equal treatment. Sweden's integration policies are among the most comprehensive in Europe, yet challenges remain, particularly in addressing unemployment rates among migrants. The effectiveness of these policies depends on long-term commitment and continuous adaptation to evolving migration trends. Despite obstacles, Sweden remains committed to fostering an inclusive and diverse society.
Thank you. While the government plays a crucial role, the private sector also has a significant impact on migrant integration. Let's discuss how businesses contribute to this process. What role does the private sector play in integration?
So, the private sector is very essential in supporting migrant integration by providing employment opportunities and fostering an inclusive workplace culture. Many companies collaborate with government initiatives to hire and train migrants, recognizing the economic benefits of a diverse workforce. Some businesses offer Swedish language training or mentorship programs to help migrants adapt to workplace expectations. Additionally, startups and entrepreneurial ventures founded by migrants contribute to Sweden's economy, creating jobs and fostering innovation. Employers who actively engage with integration programs often benefit from fresh perspectives and diverse skill sets. However, some companies hesitate to hire migrants due to concerns about language proficiency or cultural differences. Advocacy for inclusive hiring practices is crucial to overcoming these biases, and partnerships between businesses and NGOs can further strengthen integration efforts by offering tailored job training and placement services. Ultimately, the private sector has the power to accelerate integration through employment, skills development, and fostering a culture of inclusion.
Thank you. Now let's turn our attention to the education system and how it supports migrant children in their journey towards integration. How does the Swedish education system support migrant children?
So Sweden's education system is designed to be inclusive, providing special programs for migrant children to help them integrate. Newly arrived students often enter preparatory classes where they receive intensive Swedish language instruction before transitioning to mainstream education. Schools offer individualized learning plans to accommodate different academic backgrounds, and other than this, additional support such as bilingual assistance helps bridge language gaps. Despite these efforts, migrant children may still face difficulties such as social isolation or adapting to a new curriculum. Extracurricular activities play a key role in helping them integrate by allowing interactions with Swedish peers. Access to higher education is also supported through scholarships and preparatory programs for those whose previous studies may not align with Swedish academic standards. Parental engagement is also encouraged through informational sessions and language support to help families navigate the education system. Ensuring successful integration also requires continuous investment in tailored educational policies, and over time, many migrant children excel, demonstrating resilience and adaptability.
Thank you so much. We've just explored also the broader aspects of migrant integration in Sweden. Let's now move on to discuss the role language and education as fundamental tools for integration. What are the main barriers preventing migrants from learning Swedish effectively?
So there are several barriers that migrants face when trying to learn Swedish effectively, and one major challenge is the difficulty of balancing language learning with work and family responsibilities. Many migrants must prioritize earning an income, making it hard to dedicate time to studying. Another issue is variability in the quality of language courses, as not all instructors use effective teaching methods tailored to adult learners. Psychological barriers such as fear of making mistakes or lack of confidence also hinders progress. So some migrants struggle due to limited exposure to Swedish speakers outside the classroom, making it harder to practice conversational skills. In areas with high migrant populations, there's often less incentives to learn Swedish since people can rely on their native language. The complexity of Swedish grammar and pronunciation can be daunting for some learners. And additionally, the lack of personalized learning approaches can make it difficult for migrants with different educational backgrounds to progress at the same pace. So other than this, cultural difference in learning styles may further impact engagement in language courses, and limited access to digital resources or study materials can also slow down the progress, particularly for low-income learners. So to overcome these barriers, more immersive language programs and workplace-based language training should be implemented.
That's a very insightful breakdown of the challenges. Now, let's talk about the impact of language skills on employment. How do language skills impact employment opportunities for migrants?
So, language skills play a critical role in determining employment opportunities for migrants in Sweden. Proficiency in Swedish is often a prerequisite for securing stable jobs, especially in customer-facing industries such as retail, healthcare, and education. Many employees hesitate to hire individuals with limited Swedish skills due to concerns about workplace communication and safety regulations. As a result, migrants who struggle with Swedish often end up in low-paying temporary jobs that do not match their qualifications. And in contrast, those who achieve fluency can access a wider range of career opportunities and climb the professional ladder. Some industries such as IT and engineering may allow migrants to work primarily in English, but Swedish proficiency remains as an asset for long-term career growth. Language barriers also affect workplace integration, making it harder for migrants to form social connections with colleagues, and employers who invest in workplace language training programs see improved productivity and better employee retention. Government-backed language internships and job placements help bridge the gap between language learning and employment. Ultimately, strong language skills empower migrants to contribute fully to the Swedish workforce and economy.
Employment is undoubtedly a key factor in integration, but education plays an equally crucial role, especially for younger migrants. What role do Swedish schools play in integrating migrant children?
So Swedish schools play a fundamental role in integrating migrant children by providing language support, educational resources, and social inclusion programs. Newly arrived students are often placed in preparatory classes where they receive intensive Swedish instruction before joining mainstream classes. Schools also offer individualized learning plans to ensure that children can catch up academically. Other than this, bilingual assistants help bridge language gaps, making it easier for students to transition into a Swedish-speaking environment. Extracurricular activities such as sports and cultural clubs play a key role in helping migrant children form friendships and feel included. Schools also educate Swedish students about multiculturalism, fostering a more inclusive environment. However, migrant children may still face social isolation, bullying, or difficulties adjusting to a new curriculum. Teachers receive training on how to support students from diverse backgrounds, but more resources are needed to ensure equal opportunities for all children. Other than this, access to higher education is supported through scholarships and preparatory courses designed for students who need additional academics assistance. Over time, many migrant children excel in the Swedish educational system, contributing to a more diverse and inclusive society.
Speaking of education, let's delve deeper into the topic of bilingualism. How does bilingualism impact migrants' children's academic performance?
Bilingualism can have both positive and negative effects on migrant children's academic performance depending on how it's supported. So studies show that bilingual children develop strong cognitive skills such as problem solving and multitasking, which can enhance their overall academic performance. However, If children are not given adequate support in learning Swedish while maintaining their first language, they may struggle academically. Some migrant children face delays in language acquisition, which can make it harder for them to understand instructions and complete assignments. On the other hand, those who develop proficiency in both languages tend to outperform their monolingual peers in the long run. Schools that offer bilingual education programs help children transition more smoothly, ensuring they do not lose proficiency in their native language while learning Swedish. Maintaining strong literacy skills in both languages provides academic advantages and increases career opportunities in the future. Family involvement is also crucial in reinforcing language skills at home. However, if schools do not offer adequate language support, bilingual children may experience gaps in knowledge that hinder their educational progress, and properly managed bilingual education leads to long-term academic success and greater social integration.
We've covered the impact of bilingualism on children, but what about adult learners? What strategies can improve language learning for adult migrants?
So, several strategies can enhance language learning for adult migrants in Sweden, and one effective approach is combining language courses with practical real-world experiences such as job placements or volunteer work. Immersion programs where learners engage with native Swedish speakers regularly significantly accelerates language acquisition. Workplace-based language training allows migrants to learn industry-specific vocabulary while gaining hands-on experience. Digital learning platforms and mobile apps also provide flexible study options for those with busy schedules. Peer-to-peer learning groups where migrants practice Swedish with each other can build confidence and fluency. Tailored learning approaches that consider different educational backgrounds help language courses more effective, and providing incentives such as language certifications linked to employment opportunities motivates learners to stay committed. Access to language cafes also and conversational groups fosters a support environment for practice, and psychological support such as boosting learners' confidence and addressing fears of making mistakes also improves learning outcomes. The key to successful language acquisition is a combination of structured education and real-world practice as well as social support.
One of the most well-known programs for adult learners is the Swedish for Immigrants program, SFI. Let's take a closer look at its effectiveness. How effective is the Swedish for Immigrants program? For what I know is the Swedish for Immigrants program is a cornerstone of Sweden's integration strategy, offering free language courses to help immigrants, because I have interacted with it before. Okay. So to develop their Swedish proficiency, the effectiveness of SFI varies depending on the individual's background, motivation, and the quality of instructions.
Yeah. So some students progress quickly while others struggle, particularly if they have little formal education or difficulty balancing studies with work or childcare. The program provides flexible learning options, including
full-time or part-time, right?
Yes, definitely, and evening courses to accommodate different schedules. Despite its benefits, some critics argue that SFI could be more intensive and better aligned with job market needs. So graduates who complete SFI often still require additional language training to work in Swedish-speaking environments, and employers sometimes hesitate to hire SFI graduates due to concerns about proficiency levels. So to address this, Sweden has introduced vocational SFI programs that combine language learning with industry-specific training, and peer interaction and immersion in Swedish-speaking settings significantly enhances language acquisition. Many migrants appreciate the opportunity to learn Swedish for free, as language skills are essential for integration. However, more structured pathways for SFI to employment could improve overall outcomes, and continuous improvements in curriculum and teaching methods are needed to ensure all learners receive maximum benefits from the program.
Beyond SFI, what other language support options exist for migrants who want to improve their Swedish skills? Yeah, you can go ahead.
Well, thank you. So in addition to SFI, migrants in Sweden have access to other language opportunities such as the municipal adult education, private language schools, and online courses. Universities and community organizations often offer a supplementary Swedish class, and some workplaces provide language training for employers to improve the communication skills on the job.
Thank you. In our previous discussion, we explored how language and education serve as key enablers of integration. However, beyond language skills, access to stable employment is one of the most critical factors determining the success of migrants in Sweden. Let's now move on to discuss employment and economic integration and the challenges migrants face in securing jobs. What are the main employment barriers that migrants face in Sweden?
So migrants in Sweden face multiple employment barriers, including language proficiency, recognition of foreign qualifications, and employer biases. Swedish is the dominant language in most workplaces, making fluency a key requirement for job seekers. However, learning Swedish to a professional level can take years, delaying access to stable employment. Many migrants hold advanced degrees and professional experience, yet struggle to have their qualifications recognized due to Sweden's strict accreditation processes. As a result, highly skilled professionals often end up in low-paying jobs that do not match their expertise. Discrimination is another major hurdle, as some employers prefer hiring individuals with Swedish work experience, creating a cycle where migrants are unable to gain the required experience. Networking also plays a significant role in Sweden's job markets, and migrants often lack the necessary connections to secure employment.
Yeah, also to add on what you're saying, I've heard of government initiatives such as the Fast Track program, which aims to streamline the process for skilled migrants to enter the workforce. But I think these programs are not always accessible to everyone, leaving gaps in employment opportunities. Additionally, childcare availability and family responsibilities can limit job-seeking efforts for migrant women.
Definitely, you're right.
Yeah, so employment challenges can be discouraging, but self-employment entrepreneurship offer an alternative route to financial independence. How does Sweden support migrant entrepreneurship?
So Sweden actively promotes migrant entrepreneurship through various programs and financial support schemes, and the Swedish government recognizes that entrepreneurship can be a powerful tool for economic integration, allowing migrants to create their own opportunities rather than relying solely on traditional employment routes. Organizations such as the Swedish Agency for the Economic and Regional Growth offer guidance, training, and funding to help migrants start and sustain businesses, and business incubators and mentorship programs provide essential knowledge about the Swedish market, tax regulations, and legal requirements. However, access to startup loans and grants can be challenging, as many migrants lack the credit history required by banks. And to address this, microfinance initiatives have been introduced to support small-scale entrepreneurs. Networking opportunities through business associations and cultural chambers help migrants establish connections and expand their ventures.
So while entrepreneurship offers new possibilities, many migrants still seek employment through traditional routes. However, vocational training and skills development can bridge the gap between job seekers and market demands. What do vocational training and skills development play in migrant employment?
So vocational training and skills development programs are crucial for helping migrants enter the Swedish job market, and mainly newly arrived migrants lack formal education or relevant work experience in Sweden, making it difficult to compete with native job seekers. The Swedish Public Employment Service offers vocational training courses tailored to in-demand industries such as healthcare, construction, and IT. These programs provide both theoretical knowledge and practical work experience, increasing employability.
Beyond the training and qualifications, workplace diversity and inclusion initiatives also play a significant role in shaping employment outcomes for migrants. How do workplace diversity and inclusion initiatives impact the migrant employment?
So they both play a significant role in facilitating migrant employment and integration, as companies that actively promote diversity benefit from a broader talent pool, increased innovation, and improved employment satisfaction. Many Swedish employees recognize the value of a multicultural workforce and implement programs to support migrant employees. These initiatives include mentorship programs, unconscious bias training for hiring managers, and language support in the workplace. Some companies partner with NGOs and government agencies to provide internship opportunities specifically for migrants.
Wow, that's good. What are the economic benefits of migrant labor for Sweden?
So, migrant labor provides significant economic benefits to Sweden by filling labor shortages, boosting productivity, and contributing to tax revenues. Many industries such as healthcare, construction, and hospitality rely heavily on migrant workers to meet demand. And without migrant labor, these sectors would face severe workforce shortages, negatively impacting Sweden's economy.
That's a great point. Migration is not just about social inclusion, it's also about economic growth and sustainability. Now, as we move to the next topic on mental health and well-being, we've discussed employment and economic integration as key aspects of migration inclusion in Sweden. But integration is not just about securing a job or financial stability. Mental health and social well-being are equally important in determining how well migrants adjust to their new lives. So without a good mental health and strong social support networks, even those who find employment or start businesses may struggle to feel a sense of belonging. And the challenges of employment, for example, the challenges of displacement, discrimination, and isolation can have lasting effects on our mental well-being. So let's now turn on our next key topic, the mental health challenges that face migrants in Sweden. So what are the main mental challenges faced by migrants in Sweden?
So, migrants in Sweden face a variety of mental health challenges, often stemming from forced displacement, cultural isolation, and the stress of adapting to a new society. For many, the journey to Sweden itself has been traumatic, and some have fled war zones, persecution, or extreme poverty. Others also arrive with high hopes but struggle to adjust once faced with language barriers, bureaucratic hurdles, and unfamiliar cultural landscape. One of the most common issues is post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, particularly among refugees who have witnessed or experienced violence. This can manifest in flashbacks, nightmares, anxiety attacks, and even emotional numbness, making it difficult for individuals to function in daily life.
Sweden has a strong healthcare system, but as you mentioned, many migrants still struggle to access mental health support. How does the Swedish healthcare system support migrants with mental health needs?
So, Sweden's healthcare system provides universal access to mental health services, meaning that both Swedish citizens and legal residents, including refugees, have the right to seek care. However, there are significant barriers that migrants face when they're trying to access these services. One major issue is language barriers. So, while Sweden offers interpreters for health care appointments, many migrants feel uncomfortable discussing deeply personal mental health issues through an interpreter. Some may also struggle to navigate the complex Swedish healthcare system, not knowing whether to seek help.
Okay, so beyond professional healthcare, social support networks play a huge role in mental health, right?
Yes.
So many migrants report feeling lonely and isolated, which can make psychological distress even worse. How does this social isolation affect mental health?
So, social isolation is one of the biggest risk factors for poor mental health among migrants. Many arrive in Sweden without family or even close friends, and building a new social connection can be extremely difficult. Without a strong support network, migrants may struggle with feelings of loneliness and alienation, leading to depression and anxiety. A lack of practical support, such as help navigating daily tasks, understanding government offices and services, or even finding job opportunities. Difficulties integrating into Swedish society also, as with social isolation makes it harder to learn the language and adapt to cultural norms.
Well, that was a great discussion. Mental health and social well-being are essential for successful integration. Let's as we wind up, maybe we can talk about cultural adaptation and social inclusion. So we've talked about mental health and social well-being, which are crucial for a successful transition in a new country. But beyond personal well-being, another key factor in migrant integration is cultural adaptation and social inclusion. Moving to a new country is not just about finding a job or learning a language, it's about understanding and adapting to a different way of life, navigating new social norms and building connections with the local community. It's also about maintaining a sense of identity while integrating into the Swedish society. And for many migrants, the process comes with challenges. Some struggle to understand Swedish social customs, others feel isolated because of language barriers, and some find it difficult to form friendships in a society that can sometimes seem reserved. So to better understand this, let's now dive into our next topic, the main challenges migrants face when adapting to the Swedish culture. What are the main challenges migrants face when adapting to the Swedish culture?
So, migrants in Sweden face several cultural adaptation challenges, the most common being, for starters, language barriers. So, without fluency in Swedish, it's difficult to communicate, make friends, and even access services. Many migrants feel that not speaking the language fluently isolates them and limits their job opportunities. We also have differences in social norms. As Swedish culture is built on individualism and informality, which can be very different from cultures that emphasize hierarchical structures, collectivism, or formality in social interactions. Workplace cultural differences is also a very major challenge, as the Swedish work environment is based on consensus, teamwork, and flat hierarchies, which may be confusing for migrants accustomed to more authoritative leadership styles. And we also have understanding bureaucracy and social systems, as navigating healthcare, education, and government services in a new country can be overwhelming, especially when the system operates differently from what migrants are used to. Balancing cultural identity with integration is also a major key factor, as many migrants struggle with maintaining their own cultural identity while trying to fit into Swedish society. Some feel pressure to assimilate completely, while others fear losing their own traditions and customs.
So to summarize, because we've talked a lot, while Sweden has made great strides in integrating migrants through various policies and programs, there are still challenges to address. The journey isn't over, but the key is continued effort from government and citizens. We are seeing examples of success and collaboration that could serve as models for other countries. And if today's discussion resonated with you, you can learn more about the project or about this via the project website. We will share it. For more updates on migrant integration, let's continue the conversation and work together to build stronger and more inclusive communities. And for our guest today, thank you so much for tuning in. And a special thanks to our guest and everyone. Lisa, for sharing your expertise and insights. It's been a very wonderful discussion, and I hope those listening have learned something new.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure discussing all these important topics.
We hope this episode has provided useful information and perspectives on how integration can be improved for migrants in Sweden. If you enjoyed this conversation, we'll share the podcast for more discussions on social issues. And thank you for listening, and until next time, stay informed and stay connected. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your precious time with us. Keep in touch and follow the updates on the website www.SCHOOLinHUBproject.eu. Stay tuned and help us with your suggestions to build a more inclusive society.